Like it can work. Um, it's a weird matchup in which Faceless Void has his power spikes and
all played BKB, Manta, and they were able to actually punish this anti-mage, and they were confident with it. So it'll be interesting to see if Viking going again, now second game in a row, what's a new recipe to dealing with this anti-mage, with an accelerant or not.
you know for sure that Mag and the boys on Navi, they watched that game, right? They analyzed Viking, and if they're picking anti-mage this early on, that probably means that they've got a solid idea. But I've seen those solid ideas fail so many times when you're too confident, when you're overconfident, and you just straight up pick the hero. And when you think about Navi and when you think about series they've played, like you don't really see way too many AMs. Like we've seen them roll that Venge Draw strategy 3 games in a row versus Virtus Pro. Yesterday we've seen them roll something different completely. So we'll see. We'll see. They have something new in store for us. That's what I like.
Yeah, it looks like they opt to not ban out the Magnus, and that is indeed what Nigma went for in their first phase. It was Mag AM, and Viking seemed confident, even if there is that accelerant for the anti-mage, but Navi will instead go for an axe.
Just before Tiga takes over, like imagine having Magnus on Navi in this situation with the Phoenix. That means your Phoenix is position 4, your position 5 is Magnus, like 90% you're not going to put it mid any longer, and then you have Axe offlane. This is all before Axe was picked, but even with him, you'd have these extremely cooldown reliant 2 supports. It's very difficult to form a team and the draft around that.
Yeah, the key thing here is it would have been Magnus picked into the offlane, I think, to get it to work. But like Liz said, now that you have the axe, you pretty much can't work into the draft unless it is going to be like a mid-mag. But with Iceberg, you'd expect a more kind of active hero. So again, but these players have been surprising us. Again, Viking, for example, they had the safe lane Viper technically yesterday. So I wouldn't be surprised if players are, going to try and bring out some new things. But
the big boy, we have
the big
Ogre. The two-headed big boy for Viking, man. And you know what? Like, I love it with Faceless Void to buff him up. It's cool with Viper too, but I love him versus Phoenix. That Bloodlust versus Phoenix and his egg really activates any hero to be able to take it down. As long as you're not cold, though. This little red tomato on Navi's side might try and protect it a couple of times.
It's a classic counter to the axe, right? In regards to like the laning phase, and I'd love to see, especially the ignite. So I'd love to see with Navi's Oracle pick if that actually will be a Oracle laning with the axe, for example, to mitigate that Ogre presence, and then you just put the Phoenix. It doesn't matter what the roles are. Realistically, Oracle should probably be 5, but I'd love to see them put the Oracle into axe lane to get over that hurdle of Ogre.
Do you think that it's enough, though? Do you think that it's enough? Because I've played and drafted exactly the same lineups, like Oracle and Ogre Magi on the other side. And yeah, you can purge the ignite, but he doesn't have to go for ignite. You can play around Fire Blast.
That's true.
I don't know. I think it's still much simpler for them to play the Oracle into the Viper lane. You play Phoenix Axe off lane because, again, you have Fire Spirits versus Ogre. He's strong in the lane, but he can't punch you. And you also have Fire Spirits versus Faceless Void if you're laning like that. Oracle is still solid if they do opt to go for counter to Ignite. And Viking steal the Magnus away.
Okay, nice.
Like, when you look at Viking, though, it's so much simpler for them, right? Like, you have Viper, you have Ogre. Like, they just don't need anything. These two heroes, they don't need experience a lot. They don't need a lot of gold. They just work just by themselves with spells. Magnus, however, he needs time. He needs a little bit of space, and he fits right in.
T, how come Ogre hasn't been picked more frequently as a Phoenix counter? Because we're seeing like Miranas and Linas and Snapfires and all these other heroes that have like their own attack speed, or even like Beastmasters who give aura, but I rarely see Ogre in this tournament.
You kind of answered your question in the way that you pitched it. You just mentioned all the heroes that you're seeing.
Right.
And these are heroes that Ogre doesn't like playing against, I think Ogre's a laning phase winner, and he's playing into the Linas, the Miranas. Like, these aren't heroes he's going to be able to bully, right? He likes to bully like that solo offlaner. When it's that double team chip, then he kind of falls a little bit flat. And That's why I'm happy to see Axe rise in prominence due to the whole idea of like the Blink Blade Mail, haha, kill physical core. And then we see the classic counters come back into play. So it's more of a evolution of meta because Axe is back. People are trying out new heroes. Viking are trying out the Ogre. That's kind of my read on it. But
Okay.
in regards to your that's it. I did answer your question. Whew,
You did. All
There-
that
there's
rambling
also-
paid off eventually.
Yeah.
my man.
There's also a much simpler answer too. Like they've been banned out. Like look at these supports. Like
That's
you,
true.
you can't go for Lena. You can't go for Chen. You can't go for Enchantress. You can't go. Okay, Mirana right now is banned. But
To
before-
me, it's just crazy that
went for that.
Undying is available and Ogre gets picked instead. But if it's purely a Phoenix answer, then yeah, Undying is no match that can provide for his team. As the final phase bans come out, Death Prophet and Storm Spirit by Viking and Mirana and Shadow Demon by Na'Vi. As looks like Viking. Where's this mag going?
Is it not clock? Mag most likely mid, right? You'd expect it to be Viper offlane, looking for that position 4 to slot into Vikings draft. That's why you're saying maybe Mirana and Shadow Demon banned out.
Mhm.
But for me, you have to ask the question of what do you value more, the AM lockdown or the Axe lockdown? Because like a Clockwork is great against Axe, but it's terrible against AM. And then like you have other options like Earth Spirit or Tusk, which can fare better into the AM. Okay.
As long
there
as
you go.
these two last bans from Navi actually boggled my mind because they went with Mirana and Shadow Demon and they're expecting a position 4 obviously, and they're banning out these 2 position 4s that okay, Shadow Demon versus Axe, it works well. Versus Anti-Mage in the lane, it's fine. But it's not truly what you need together with a Viper on the lane and in the game plan later on. Regardless of all of that, I really like Viking GG's draft so far. And you asked about this Magnus. I didn't really care. It's a flex pick. I didn't care if it's offlane. I didn't care if it's mid because it serves the same purpose. You empower the Faceless Void, you bloodlust the Faceless Void, and you make this one ultra carry as strong as possible. For Navi now, yeah, they're just thinking up against Magnus what to pick, right?
They need someone who can just really set the pace of the game. Like my favorite, I think like Leshrac or DK kind of come to mind. The issue is it's so risky. Like we spoke about the simplicity of Vikings lineup. They have to exist, defend a couple towers with Chrono, and their game's fine. Na'Vi on the other hand, they need Anti-Mage to get his farm. They need Axe to get a blink. Oracle Phoenix don't really rotate. So they're going to be playing very inwards into the map, their own side. Whilst Viking, whenever they have a timing, their Earth Spirit can go invade. The Void with 6 can go invade. Like, big disparity with who can make moves, and hopefully Na'Vi can get that.
There's just so many checkboxes that need to be ticked for Na'vi to make this draft work. When you're thinking even about like what we just mentioned, Ogre, Magnus plus Void. On the other side, a lonely Anti-Mage.
But with dreams, Lizard, and aspirations.
He
He
does
is going to
have
be
dreams.
the carry, Lizard!
Still,
From Lizard 2020.
sometimes
Hold
there are
down,
economic
hold down.
disadvantages that you cannot overcome.
There's having dreams and believing in yourself, and there's like playing an Anti-Mage without any help versus a Void Ogre Magnus, which looks kind of difficult. Let's see. Okay, so they're playing the anti-Dota. That's what it is. Everything that T-Gav just said, they scratched everything that I mentioned. All those tick boxes, they kind of shoved to the side. Let's pick a hero that's gonna perhaps dominate the mid lane, and then afterwards just run across the map and make them suffer. Let's pick a hero that's gonna dominate the lane so hard that it will not allow them to play their game in the mid game. It's still not enough for me.
Exactly. I think the key thing here is why the Bat might not be the best pick here, or it might feel that good. Bat doesn't like playing against early slows, and when he goes to a lane, he likes to utilize his move speed to get on top of you, right, with bots. When you have a Viper, an Ogre, even Earth Spirit to some degree, all these heroes have this kind of soft disengage for the Bat Rider. So if they're present, then Bat could get punished. And Vikings draft is all about existing and punishing. And if Na'Vi ever make a misstep, suddenly it's really hard for them to make any plays. Because again, they have Oracle, Phoenix, and only the Bat Rider who actually wants to go. Axe needs to farm, has to have a good lane. Anti-Mage, yeah. It's an Anti-Mage.
Is
Dream.
this bat mid dodge worthy at all for Magnus? Like, is there any possibility they send Viper instead? Or is it just like, I'm going to tank the lane. My job as a Magnus is just to give Faceless Void and power anyway.
It's possible to switch it up, but I think you tank the lane because you're winning elsewhere, right? You have a small win on the offlane. It's still possible. Like it's a good idea. Like, it might happen.
Okay, well, the the poster boy of anti-Dota has to be anti-Mage, so let's see if V-Tunes Navi can get away with it, as we send it over to our casters for game number 1, Nomad and 1437.
Thank you very much, Tsunami. Yeah, welcome to the first series of the day. It is Navi versus Viking. Of course, if you want to bet on this game, head over to EG Bet. The banner is below the stream where you can find all the fresh odds and go and check that out. But 1437, I mean, which one of these drafts really butters your crumpet today?
Oh, they both do. They both do in some ways. This Batrider plus Axe, I think they have a lot of potential. The Batrider, you know, can, if he destroys mid, which should be quite easy for him against a Magnus, and then just runs over this map, I think Navi are gonna be in a really good position throughout the early and the mid game. But that being said, though, Vikings, like, their mid late game is looking amazing, right? Like Lizard, he said it perfectly. Like, this, it's some kind of anti-Dota that Navi's trying to play, and it's very aggressive, and you have to play aggressively. But then when you play it that aggressively, you can also have a lot of room for error in your draft, and that's where Viking are going to look to punish, especially on these high grounds with the Chrono, with the Mag RP. It's going to be very tough for Navi if they just mess up even one time.
And I know you're not a biggest fan of the anti-mage. This game, can you see it working?
Again, if they mess up one time, you know, it's going to be very scary for them. So I would still rather prefer this Faceless Void draft. I know, like, this Batrider has a lot of potential and can do a lot of stuff, but this Void plus Mag, like, this AM is always gonna have to worry about those two lockdowns. If he eats a Chrono, if he eats an RP, he's gonna pretty much die.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Same with Iceberg as well. You know, this guy needs to be the tempo controller. He needs to be up in Vikings' faces from minute 1. And if he gets caught inside a Chrono and killed off once or twice, then things are going to start to get a little awkward for him. That momentum, it needs to stay in his favor. And Iceberg, you know, as we know, he's a very momentum-based player. So I think it's going to be quite an exciting one, at least from the draft outset. But yeah, I do expect Navi to do well in these lanes, because as we mentioned before, Batrider versus Magnus at mid, very, very good for the Bat. So what kind of timings are we looking for here? We're expecting in general to kind of go really quickly into that Blink Dagger to give Navi that window and something to play behind?
Well, they're going to need it. They're going to need to play very fast. Whatever will allow them to stay in front of Vikings and make sure that those heroes cannot get to the anti-mage is exactly what Navi going to have to do in this game. It's just going to come down to the bat. That's it. Like, everything is on Iceberg, right? So if Iceberg somehow messes up, like, around the mid lane, he dies once, or they bait him out, and then Earthspear rolls in and kills him, and then Mag has some sort of a decent laning stage, I think Navi are going to crumble very, very quickly. That's why they picked this Ogre to be able to counter that Phoenix with that Bloodlust on the Void. Also, the Phoenix plus the Axe lane, there's a lot of burn damage, like with the Battle Hunger, and then you got the Fire Spirits and stuff. But Ogre, being the tanky hero he is going to be able to sustain through all of that. But Axe, like, if he goes Blink first, he's not going to be that tanky. Maybe he wants, like, a Vanguard, and then he goes for a Blink Dagger of some sorts. But he's also playing against a Viper. That hero kind of counters Axe pretty hard.
Yeah, if you don't get him inside that call, then you're not going to be spinning an awful lot, which kind of makes it tricky to you know, be an Axe to do your job as your hero. So that could be a bit awkward. This Viper pick does seem to have a lot of value this game as well, and just kind of countering the anti-mage's magic resistance, and also countering this Axe with his counter helixes. So a lot of factors working out pretty well for this Viper pickup, once again proving to be a very, very strong first phase hero. For one, I hope we see less of Viper in the future.
Yeah, it's getting pretty tiring at this point, right? Seeing this Viper who can go off lane or mid lane, but still, it's a very potent, strong hero that can enable your lineup and amplify your team's damage output with that poison attack, reducing the enemy's magic resist as well. Nanotoxin, like, it's crazy. You just pick this Viper and he has so much value. Even though the enemy could have just picked other heroes. Like, this Anti-Mage and Axe are going to be very sad if they sit in the Nanotoxin, and they can't do anything about it. There it is, just plopping that Nanotoxin, wants to get the rune.
Yep, great. Can't do anything about that. Alrighty, well, game gets started at last. The bounty runes get picked up, 2 for 2, but it is all even starting things off here. The pressure is on Navi to perform very well in this laning phase and try and carry that advantage through to the mid game, because Viking, once they start picking up on this match, then it's going to start to get real hard, real fast for the side of Navi. A very a very mistakeless game is required here from Na'Vi. But you know, we know they can deliver that if they're on the same similar form as they were in for example, ESL One Germany when they managed to make the grand finals. You know, I can easily see them winning this match if that team shows up today. But unfortunately, that team has not been so consistent throughout this tournament thus far. As Aramis is going to start things out at bottom, throwing a couple of rocks across and immediately just killing off that first creep wave very, very quickly to try and put some pressure onto VTune.
Yeah, it's just going to be a farm fest here until Aramis just pulls a wave in front of the tier 1 tower bottom. And that's when the lane's going to get so much more difficult for Always On the Fly and VTune here. Very classic stuff going on. Iceberg already level 2 middle. Taking a look at the other lanes too right now. Boom, he's going to be pretty happy always having 10 stick charges available. He actually opted for the Empowered, not going for the...
Yeah, fair amount of confidence there. Kind of just saying that, hey, I'm not going to need to sit back and Shockwave. I can be in this creep wave. I'm not scared off this sticky napalm. And, well, so far so good for Boom. You know, he's doing all right. Kind of just trading here in this middle lane, so we'll keep an eye on how this one develops. Meanwhile, at the top, this Void's being bullied pretty badly. Solari also not doing super well in HP as they go in for the Salve cancel here, and we'll be able to get it off onto Shad. Shad is not having a good time up here, as Roger in general getting very, very aggressive onto this faceless Void lane, down with the Fire Spirits. He's already used that Salve, don't forget, there's not another one available, so it's all about the tangos now, but Roger maybe getting a little bit too deep, but at the same time, they can't really finish him off here, because they just don't have the catch.
Yeah, it's actually a very annoying lane for faceless Void. Fighting into the axe here. Celery though. He is gonna chase down Roger.
Yeah, Celery getting a bit big for his boots here. In general, will chase him back and take a good amount of his HP in the process. So both of them kind of getting pretty low. But of course, Ogre Magi, he never really minds getting harassed too much. This guy has so much base HP regen that he's kind of fine taking a couple of hits here and there.
I'm kind of surprised he didn't go for the Ignite. Normally, level 1, we see Ogres with the Ignite, and it's super value when it goes on to both of the enemy heroes. Does plenty of damage too. Going for that stun and Bloodlust instead.
I mean, I can see the Bloodlust making sense with a Void, with a time lock, but at the same time, I don't think this Void really wants to be hitting heroes in this lane.
Yeah, if you get spun on by the axe, it's going to be very, very painful.
Celery taking a lot of damage here. Roger with the sweep forwards here with the Icarus dive. Do they have enough to take him down? Yes, they do. Down he goes. Celery will be the first blood. Meanwhile, Shad gets a time walk away from General, but has lost his support. So this lane really starting to get tough already. Straight off the bat here in the top lane for Viking.
Yeah, and this lane does not get any easier for them whatsoever. Phoenix also gained that first blood. This Axe was already free farming. Now the Phoenix is going to be very farmed as well with that kill. Top lane, absolutely disaster for them. They do have a healing salve from the Ogre you can give to the Void, but the Void's having such a hard time just walking up into the creep wave. Getting earned up too now.
Earn on the Axe. Okay.
Yep.
Earn plus battle hunger. That is not something you want to be playing into. Good luck time walking that off, Shad.
Maybe Ogre just wants to try and get some pulls going, but Roger's doing such a great job at just living in this jungle, making sure Ogre can't do that.
Yep, just consistently throwing down the pressure. The Void's actually queued up a Midas, so this guy kind of knows that I'm not getting much of a lane here. I'm just going to kind of buy my Midas and recover from that way.
Batrider got the 4-minute rune. It's a regen on Iceberg. Just pretty much a farm fest mid lane so far. I mean, Magnus realizing the wave is in front of the Batrider's tower is like, okay, never mind. Time to go jungle. Got that level 3 in power. He's pretty happy. Just going to stay here for a while. Iceberg is going to be pretty much free farming in the mid lane, going for that boost of travels. If anybody makes any aggression, bottom actually, Toby.
Pretty low here, and they will be able to finish the job with the Purifying Flames from Always Want to Fly. Never underestimate the Oracle level 3. It always results in a kill as far as I've seen. And down goes another Viper dead.
Yep, and Anti-Mage didn't even need to blink into him. Viper only has...
Celery getting run down here. Icarus dive forwards from Roger, just staying on top of the Ogre Magi, though he might be able to grab the bounce route. Oh, value. Got it. So when you type the word in the chat. Yeah.
That was the goal all along. I mean, that bounty did provide more gold for his team, but it did give a little bit of experience the way of Axe and the Phoenix. For him dying. And Shad having to TP back home. Oh, this is so bad for him. Level 4 Void, TPing back to base. Now has to make the walk of shame. Celery gonna TP back top, gonna try and soak up whatever XP he can in this lane.
You
That
know,
feels bad.
Can we give any credit to the Void for not died in this top lane? Like, is
Well,
that a consolation prize we
It's
can
kind of
give?
hard to kill a carry, right? If he just doesn't farm.
True.
He has 15 last hits. No
What?
man.
Iceberg's TPing
It's-
in. They're looking at Toby. They're looking at Aramis. Aramis goes in with a kickback and the roll away, but unfortunately leaves his Viper. And I think Toby could be in some trouble as Iceberg's starting to run him down, gets on top of him with the large stacks of sticky napalm. And there is nothing Toby can do but get cooked up into a nice Viper stew by Iceberg. Kill down in the bottom lane. A nice rotation in from the Batrider.
Oof, this is... The Viking are actually just losing 3 lanes straight up. I mean, Mag mid is pretty much a wash at this point. He's just jungling anyway. And he's done a pretty good job at not getting wrecked by the Batrider. But these 2 silents are just so atrocious. I'm just trying to think like how... Oh, Viking top shot. Oh,
Ooh, no, he
He's dead.
just came back to the lane. He just made the long walk, and now he's going to have to make it all over again. Well, he does have the TP actually when he respawns at the very least,
Yeah.
but goodness gracious, this is...
does not want to
harsh.
go top. He does not want to go top at all. That's a level 5 axe. Void only 4.5. He literally has nothing to do against his axe in this lane anymore. So he's actually going to TP mid. And this is the best
Okay.
decision he could make. This is actually the best lane that he can be in, yeah. Level 5, he might just skill up the time dilation. So Iceberg doesn't really have any kill threat on him. And then he's just going to try to jungle on the both sides. It's a bit crowded in Viking jungle because Boom is in there too, but he has no other option but to wait for creep waves to come into him and just farm up. Iceberg, understanding that, is just going to try to control this wave the best that he can. So Shad can only get a few last hits, if ever. 17 last hits. Viper also 18 last hits.
Oh my goodness. This is a completely dominating laning phase from Na'Vi. We'll see how Viking come back from this. I mean, on the bright side, Boom is just farming away in the jungle. He's going for this Blink Dagger. He wants to try and hit a decent timing and give his team at least some timing to work towards and try and make a play with to drag themselves back into this game, because right now things are looking a little bit dire. Yeah, man,
Yeah,
Shad,
and
I
Omen
mean,
just-
he's come to mid just to watch the creeps. It's very sad.
It is. He wants to give the space to Boom first. Like Boom doesn't want to just sacrifice himself and give Void all the jungle creeps
Oh
right now.
no, the sad Shad's about to get a whole lot sadder as he does manage to
That
get off the
it
time
is.
walk at the very last second here, but Roger still drogging him down, although the TPs are coming across. Boom comes over with the skewer. Might be enough to bring down Roger here. Can Roger get himself away? No, he cannot. The kill actually goes to Viking instead, and Shad survives. Very, very nice
good.
from Viking.
Yeah, at level 5, he skilled that time dilation and made it so Iceberg could not use that sticky napalm to actually kill Shad off. And that gave enough time for his team to react and kill Roger. And that's the lasso used too. It's a very long cooldown spell this early into the game, and you kind of want to be getting kills if you're using lasso on Iceberg at this point. He is going to have
Should-
Boots of Travels. It's going to be very
Yeah.
big.
Yeah, he will have that very quick timing. But do you think Na'Vi should have made that play onto the Void? Like, should they not have just been happy with the fact that they were dominating this mid lane, or do you think it was necessary to make the play onto the
Oh,
Void?
it was a good play. It was a good attempt, right? Because they don't know if the Void actually has time dilation skilled up at that point. But Shad already predicting that this bat will try to kill him, and getting that level 5 is what allowed him to live there.
Well, that is going to be a very small win for Viking, at least, but things still looking pretty grim. They're 5-1, a 1k gold advantage for Na'Vi, and it's just Boom who's having a good time on the side of Viking. Featuring, though, he's not having the best of games. I mean, better than the Void, that's for sure, but certainly not having the
Oh, yeah.
freest of times at bot.
It's all right. He did have to go for that Ring of Tarask, which makes it much slower to his Battle Fury. But he feels like this is an item that he needs in order to lane up against a Viper. So whatever helps him settle in to this game, that's exactly what he should do, and that's
Top
why he got it.
lane, General, trying to get on top of Solari. They're using the Boots of Travel to get in on top of the Ogre, and they will be able to cut him down. Great little kill up in the top lane from Na'Vi, utilizing the Boots of Travel.
The 2 heroes you did not want to have a really good early game on Na'Vi are having the best game they could possibly have right now. The Batrider and the Axe are completely dominating this map. Top and mid is pretty much their zone. on the Viking side, though, Boom, because he's been jungling since like minute 6 or something, he's still the highest net worth. That being said, he's going to need to make some plays happen for his team. Oh,
He is indeed. The
onto
Chrono
Axe.
comes down up in the top lane. It's not doing a lot, but Min with Aramis TPing and across along with Boom here as well. Goes in with the 2-man RP. That's very nice. They're going to be able to cut down General at the very least, and now moving across the Bat Rider as well. Both heroes going down. Boom making it happen with this early timing the Blink Dagger, proving that it was a good idea to send him to the jungle early on. Greed it up a little bit, and now that payoff is coming in thick and fast for the side of Viking as they get 2 massive, massive kills up in the top lane.
That's so good, right? They could have just gave up the Axe, but because the Bat Rider felt he was so strong, he TP'd right back up there, wanted to help the Axe. They did not expect that 10-minute Blink Dagger. Normally, Magnus, who go first item Blink over Echo Saber, don't really achieve that much in the game because it's quite predictable. But Boom, perfect counter initiation there, giving this team a little bit more XP and gold, removing the Axe and Bat off the map. But they're just gonna go back mid. They know RP's on cooldown, they know Chrono's on cooldown. Viking, if they don't bring the Viper over, I'm not entirely sure how strong they really are here to be able to defend this.
Yeah, Na'Vi, they don't want to slow this game down. They want to keep the pressure up. They want to keep the anti-mage nice and free, but a great little skewer back onto
Nice
Whiteflag here into the stun from Celery. Is it going to be enough, though, with the heals coming in from Roger? And that's actually a lot of return damage coming down onto Celery here. In comes the lasso. Yoink, come with me, child. We're going on a ride. Meanwhile, Zaramis in the same amount of trouble here as it turns back around. Now they drop the Supernova. Iceberg, he's trying to dodge out the Sunray, will not be able to do so. Sorry, the Shockwave as they turn around. The ultimate comes off from Roger here as the Supernova comes crashing down. He's actually sticking around. He's looking for the kill onto Boom here. Boom gonna turn around with the skewer, gets the kill. A little bit of an over-exaggeration from Roger there, but he still gets the kill. Worth it. He still gets the kill onto the Magnus. Viking lose 3, Na'Vi lose 2. A big old messy scrap in the middle lane. I mean, I don't know who kind of gets the victory here, Theban.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure either, but I think Viking were the ones who made the play. They got killed off because of the Phoenix Sunray onto the Bat Rider. That healed Iceberg just enough to be able to get that lasso off onto the Ogre and try to turn that fight around. Viking did bring 4 heroes there. They managed to trade on the side of Na'Vi. I think it's pretty worth it for Na'Vi overall.
I think so too. I think they should be content with this, but at the same time, you know, gotta keep the aggression going, which is hard when you keep kind of getting countered upon so well just by Boom on this Magnus, and now he's got RP again, so it's gonna be pretty scary. Along with the Chronosphere available on Shad, a lot is now working out for the side of Viking.
The more I look at this anti-mage, actually, V-Tune here, he's been farming this whole time, right, while that fight was happening. This Ring of Taras makes a lot more sense. Like, it allows you to go for that Claymore and the Broadsword before the Ring of Health. So you get this damage items, and you get this Ring of Taras much earlier without having to go to a secret shop. It's doing very well for him. He's quite farmed, and his team is making stacks for him too. He's able to farm this up with that damage he's getting from the Broadsword and the Claymore. It's nice. And now Na'Vi gonna make a smoke play here.
They most certainly are. I did just want to ask quickly, why would he go for Ring of Trask over the Ring of Health?
Because you can buy it much
cheaper?
earlier. Yeah, it's cheaper. You can buy it earlier. It's good in the lane against the button available for you. And you won't have to go to that secret shop to be able to buy the Ring of Health also, which is kind of a big deal.
General in the trees down at bottom. Celery knows there's someone around because his smoke got popped, so Viking, they just want to take that tower and get themselves out of there. In fact, they're not even going to stick around for the last hit onto the tower. They're going to let it be denied because they're just that scared of what Na'Vi have in the tank.
Just going to deny up this bottom tower now. Don't want to have to deal with this pressure of constantly defending this, and Void is going to be very happy staying on the top side. Void, that Midas build, he's really hasn't taken a lot of farm away from Boom, right? Boom has been taking all of this, like whatever he wants, he's just taking it. He doesn't care. He realizes like he's actually the carry at the moment, because if he doesn't keep on scaling, he's not going to be able to create any space for the Void anyway. So he's taking, Shad is just like sucking it up. He's got this Midas. He knows he'll catch up once his team is strong first. So Shad is still taking all the crappy farm on the map that's, you know, kind of risky as well. And just giving Boom whatever he wants for the time being. Once Boom gets that Echo Saber, he's going to be very strong in terms of his damage output, at least.
He certainly is, yeah, he certainly is, and that's going to create more space. And also, if they want Void to shift into like maximum Giga Farm mode, then they can do that. They've got Bloodlust to throw on him, they've got Empower to throw on him. He's got Midas, like this guy. It's if they choose to enable his farm, which I'm sure they will very shortly, then Viking have a bullet train farmer on their team. Meanwhile, the Anti-Mage, you know, comparatively, probably going to be quite similar with his Battle Fury. You know, Anti-Mage just a naturally extremely fast farming hero, so it's going to be interesting to watch these two kind of go toe-to-toe on each other. It's definitely going to come down to the rest of the team and the plays they make across the map and just who has more space to play. At the moment, that is the Anti-Mage.
And he's already got that Battle Fury too. Like he didn't have the best lane, but this build of his and really allowed him to be able to stay on top in this game. And
they're trying to bait Iceberg at mid. They really are.
Iceberg or Shad, they're both baiting each other. They're both baiting each other.
Don't lasso me. Oh, don't chrono me. Oh, no. Please, sir. Please, lasso me. No, I insist. Please chrono me. Both of them trying to bait out the other. No one really falling for it right now. Viking being very, very patient, as are Na'Vi. No one wants to make the move onto each other, so... You know, they both feel like, well, our carries are farming, so as long as there's 4 of us mid, and there's 4 of you mid, then we're happy.
Yeah, and I think Shad is about to start taking like all the good farm now, especially since Boom has that Echo Saber complete. His next item is a BKB. That's going to be for like a very long time. He won't have that, so they're just going to start grouping up as 4 now on the side of Viking. This is their timing at the moment. They got the Atos, they got the Echo.
Could be in trouble. V-Tune! He's walking into 4 heroes
V-Tune
here.
is a
If they
big
spot
one.
him,
He's
he's going to be in some real trouble. But thankfully, Boom doesn't notice this Anti-Mage walking just below him here. And that's going to mean he's nice and safe. And Viking, they're just going to start farming here. So these 4 heroes, which were smoked up, waiting for someone to come in this direction, they won't find anyone right now. Roger is still nearby, but they just don't have the vision down to really make these kinds of plays.
And they're going to go back to the top side. They know Viking have completely taken over this bottom area of the map. You really don't want to fight into this Magnus at the moment. He is hit his peak for like the next couple of minutes right here. And Na'Vi, I'm quite surprised they were not able to take this mid tower much earlier in the game with the kind of start that Iceberg and General had. If they were able to take this tier 1, their game right now would look so much easier. But it's 18 minutes in almost, and the tower's still alive, and it's looking like it's going to be impossible.
Yeah, I think it comes down to these ultimates, you know, like because the Magnus had a pretty good time in the laning phase, he was able to get a decent time on the Blink Dagger, and then just pushing in the mid tower is incredibly difficult. I think that's what we've seen happening, especially with that Supernova at mid earlier on. It's all very messy. The game's still very, very close. Na'Vi with the slight advantage still, but Viking with those ultimates, with the comeback potential, it's pretty high. We haven't really seen so much from Iceberg since the laning phase. Like, since the early mid, they've kind of been pretty content on Na'Vi just to hold back on the aggression. Why is that?
Well, it's Anti-Mage, right? If they fight into Viking, it's going to be 4 versus 5. And they can't win 4 versus 5, especially when the Void is very happy to join the team fight to drop a Chronosphere and help his team win. So Anti-Mage just wants to farm. So they're very content with just splitting up this map right now and just letting Anti-Mage get to his items, which is going to be the Manta. And even after the Manta, he might want to get a Basher first before they actually decide to smoke up and do something on the map. Na'Vi right now, they're just playing that pick-off game. They have no intentions of 5v5ing whatsoever into Viking heroes.
Yeah, just really respecting the Viking heroes, realizing how strong they are. And I kind of feel like they've done enough in the laning phase that they don't need to be too, making any high-risk plays throughout the mid game. They started themselves off with that lead, and they feel like they can maintain that lead with the speed as Anti-Mage, Axe, and Batrider are going to farm head to the cause on the side of Viking.
So because that early game advantage Na'Vi built with the Batrider and the Axe is making it so much harder for Viking to actually get space on the map. Iceberg, he's gonna find
Aramis. Can they grab him out here? Beautiful little Molotov thrown across from Iceberg to interrupt the roll, and that will mean Aramis dies. However, Viking bringing in the heroes. They've got the Atos down onto Iceberg, but it's only 2 joining him right now. Third one is behind as a Magnus is here, but again, they just don't want to commit. They really don't on the side of Viking.
And with that reaction from Viking on the top, Na'Vi might think about just shoving this melee out and touching this tier 1 tower a little bit, see if they can get Vikings to react, follow them back to that mid lane, and that's exactly what's happening. Boom and Satori are just walking towards middle. understanding that there's always going to be pressure put on tier 1. Like, that's what Navi want to do. They just want to get these pickoffs on the side lanes and try to get Viking to just run around the map.
So Manta, Basher on Void, sorry, on Anti-Mage is kind of the timing you're initially thinking about here.
It's what Anti-Mage needs to be able to pretty much solo pressure the lane. And if anybody shows up, he's going to instantly kick them out, pretty much. That being said, the AM is going to want way more than that to be able to just 5v5.
Toby, he is not aware of this rotation in. Yeah, I mean, there is a rotation coming in from Aramis. They're looking to try and fight this one as Icebox's going to pop the BKB. Aramis jumps on the backlines, trying to blow up the Phoenix. That's not going to happen as Toby loses life, but now the RP being tempted. It's not going to go down. The egg is down. Boom's got attack speed. He's going to turn around, drop the RP, and the roll across from Aramis is going to allow him to blow up the Supernova. V-Tune, he has got the blink, but he wants to go aggressive onto Boom. Trying to finish the job here. Can't get off the ultimate. They will finish him off with the dunk, though, as General brings him down. Aramis is going to fall as well. Now Navi, they're looking for more. Pushing behind the tier 2 tower. Shad still waiting. He does not have anything to really give to this fight, though, when he's out of mana and he's running out of health as well as Iceberg gets on top of him once again. Shad will fall. Viking, they try to bring themselves into this game, but unfortunately they just end up taking a big loss here in the top lane. Fighting on the corpse there, Viper does not end well for them, unfortunately.
That was so good from Navi. As soon as they caught out that Viper, like, Viking needed to just abandon him. There was no way they were going to be able to take that fight into that blocking by Batrider. They are nowhere near strong enough for this kind of engagement. So the Viper died instantly at the start of the fight, and then the egg was so nice from Roger, which forced the Magnus to attack it, and then V2 just blinking in, trying to create some chaos. Maybe they'll bring their attention to the anti-mage. They can't kill the egg, and that was just enough. It was pretty much a 4 versus 5. Navi taking full advantage of the numbers there, taking the tier 2 tower top now. That's going to be the outpost, and Vikings, they just put themselves in a horrendous position in this game. They should have just been playing bottom and middle. They should have just tried to get more out of this map, and Toby had no business really being in that top lane there.
Very, very ambitious fight from Viking. I mean, they brought down the Supernova, but unfortunately it wasn't nearly enough to secure themselves that engagement. Minus too much damage in the process, and yeah, I mean, everyone just kind of throwing their bodies onto that fight there ended up working out pretty poorly for them.
Ooh. I'm sorry, Iceberg has Blink Dagger now too. After that fight and the map that they were able to farm out, they got a dagger, BKB on this bat. This bat's looking absolutely invincible at the moment. This is insane. And let's not forget, there's an Oracle on the side of Navi. So if you put all your attention into trying to stop this Axe or the Batrider, then you're no longer putting any attention onto the Oracle. He's just going to save them.
Yeah. He's chilling in the backlines, having a good time. Anti-Mage now finishing off that Basher as Iceberg smoking up with his 2 comrades to try and find themselves a pickoff. Maybe someone shows themselves in the mid lane, but they know where the side of Viking are. They're all in the enemy side of the map. Flying that triangle. Oh, V-Tune just kind of clips Celery here. Hey guys, this is our triangle. Get out of here. And he's
he wants to go
Look,
in.
to get aggressive. Yeah, Celery baits out the fire blast, but unfortunately he's going to get eaten up very quickly. Now Sue onto the Faceless Void. They're trying to take him down. They're going to drain all his mana. No Chronosphere for you. Does just about get the time walk away whilst using the wand, but unfortunately Earth Spirit won't be so lucky. He's going to lose his life, and it looks like Shad's going to be heading the same way as well. Another hero dead. Toby turning up to the engagement to just try and make something happen, but nothing will be happening for the side of Viking other than losing 4 heroes and giving away a Roshan in the process, as well as V-Tune wasting no time to get in and start dealing with the big boy.
Yep, the fight next to the Roshan. See this time and time again. Vikings just got caught off guard. They were trying to help Celery there. They should have just pretty much abandoned him. Faces Void. Getting picked off too. We saw Boom. He was ready for like a 3-man RP, and then he realizes, wait, if I try to help this Void, we don't have any damage. The rest of our team is already dead, so he just tried to cut his losses, get out. He does have a BKB on the Magnus. Oh, they're gonna get a freebie
Oracle
here.
My God. Okay, Boom does have damage. That is very much just confirmed by Always Wanna Fly. This guy slaps.
The freebie.
Batrider.
But they lose 4 bounties though.
Yeah.
Was it worth it? Was it worth it? The Oracle kill for the 4 bounties. They're gonna smoke up instantly now. Oh man. They're desperate. They are actually very, very desperate on the side of Viking. They need something to go their way.
Well, they have their ultimates. General definitely going to be the target here as they see him. They don't jump him, though. They see Iceberg instead. They do have that RP possibly available if they want to throw it down onto that BKB hero, but they're just going to try to wait it out. As the roll does connect onto Iceberg, stun comes out onto General, but in comes the anti-mage, and the backlines draining the mana of Boom, stopping the possibility of an RP from coming down, but they're trying to bring down the anti-mage. Meanwhile, Toby's going to Viper Strike himself. Down comes the Supernova. That's going to finish off Boom. They'll move across, kill off Toby as well. Another failed attempt from the side of Viking as they try to get themselves away. Shad in some trouble. In comes that lasso down onto the Faceless Void. Can they do anything to save him here? Looks like he's going to be okay for the time being, but they are not stopping. In comes Featune, taking away that mana, taking away that health, and bringing down the Faceless Void once more. Viking, I don't know what's happening this game, but this team just can't seem to catch a break.
Oh, they saw the Void mid pushing the lane out, and as soon as they jumped Iceberg and he popped the BKB, they were like, guys, fight them bottom. This Void cannot join this team fight. And as soon as they got the mag, the Viper, they're like, okay, this Void is still pushing mid, let's go. And then 2 TPs from the Batrider and the Axe. They get all 3 of the cores. And he didn't want to drop a Chrono on the Anti-Mage, who has the Aegis as well. There was no chance he was gonna get anything out of this Chrono, so might as well just revive, try to smoke again and do something, or wait out this Aegis. Viking are looking absolutely lost right now. I don't even know what they can do to try and do, like, fight back into this Navi team. Navi are playing so beautifully at the moment. They're playing the map well. They're not really giving away any random kills. Like, the last bad play that they made was maybe with the Axe and the bad top, but that was like a good play from Vikings, right? They had the 10-minute Blink Dagger on Boom, but other than that, like, they haven't really done anything at all in this game.
Just breathe and believe, Viking. They're going to try and go into Iceberg here. Are they going to hesitate to drop this RP? No, they are not. Bring it down onto its head and bring down the Batrider. Seems like a while, but they do get a high-value kill.
That's good. I can't help but feel like that's what they need to do all game. You know, just get 1 RP on 1 hero. Just try to buy some kind of time, like earlier on in the game. Maybe a Chrono 1 hero too, and just keep playing off that. And just chip away at Navi's map advantage. But right now, 40 seconds. Viking are going to be able to push this top out quite far and control this triangle. But as soon as Batrider's back alive, I think they're going to go attack Viking.
The 15k gold advantage is a big, big lead to break into for Viking. As you mentioned, you know, they do have this very fast farming Void, but unfortunately he is so far behind Vichun. Vichun is just a monster. He's got himself the Abyssal Blade. He's heading in towards the Butterfly now as well. The guy is just completely unchecked this game. Viking just holding on, hoping for the big ultimates to make the big difference this game.
Yep. Feedtune, knock knock, bottom tower. Viking, are you there? Still got that Aegis. He's not really afraid of like some kind of a surprise ARP, like Chrono or something.
Yeah, and always want to fly just about in the neighborhood if it's really necessary, but it won't be. There's no chance they jump onto this anti-mage here. He is free as a bird to do whatever he wants this game.
Oh, I just realized this Phoenix has a Shivas. Oh, wow. Yeah. Like, it's not just the anti-mages farmed. Everyone on Navi are just loaded. Yeah. Roger with Shivas. Batrider has an Aeon disc now, so he's not worried about that RP or the Chrono that much.
Good stuff. If this blade comes down onto Toby, he gets his mana taken away pretty damn quickly. Meanwhile, Iceberg just flexing on the front lines, dropping that BKB, finds himself the lasso onto the Earth Spirit, dragging him back into the engagement as well, so they'll finish off Toby here. Aramis, the next target, as he gets whittled down by these anti-mages. The Yules comes down. Aramis, no chance getting out of this one. No mana left. He runs himself away. Shad comes in, drops down the Chronosphere, catches out the Batrider, moves across, tries to deal with the Phoenix, but can't do so. Gets lost, can't decide what to do. Called up by the Axe, and now he's going to get dropped by Vichun. In comes that RP. It's on to 3. Is it going to be enough? I don't think so. Looking across over towards Roger as Boom tries valiantly to fight Equation. The rest of Viking, they're buying back, but the side of Navi, they're just going to leave. Their work here is done. They force out the Magnus buyback. They get a bunch of kills. They get themselves away, and it costs them absolutely nada.
Oh, man, the anti-mage still had the Aegis too at, like, nearing the end of that fight, so maybe it wasn't the greatest idea for Viking to go in, but yeah, Void, the Batrider getting instantly false promised and Fate's Edict onto the Void just made him unable to dish out any damage. It was like, what, 3 versus 5 pretty much, and he really thought that that was the time to do something. Viper buying back, gonna hurt him too. Magnus also buying back. That's gonna be the end of his item progression in this game.
Pretty much. He did a lot in that fight. Unfortunately, it was just once the Faceless was already dead, and it was such an awkward chronosphere as well. You know, he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna run across to hit the supernova. Oh God, I can't do this in time," and gets disarmed by the Oracle in the process. And from that point onwards, you know, he just couldn't do anything. His chronosphere was completely wasted, and then he gets caught by the axe at the very end of it anyway. Very sad. Abyssal Blade comes down onto the Viper, but they're going to try and make the counterplay onto the Anti-Mage there as the Skewer comes in. Boom, going to pop the BKB to try and fight up into, but the lasso comes down onto the Faceless Void. He's going to be the new target, or is he? As they actually back themselves away here on Navi. Vici now jumping onto Shad. Shad gets a time walk back as they'll turn their attention towards the Mag instead. Mag getting very damn low as he is going to die. The Mana Void committed. There is a Magnetize coming down onto a bunch of heroes as Shad trying to find Always Want to Fly, but Always Want to Fly still surviving for the time being. Will die on that high ground, and actually the Phoenix goes down as well. 2 heroes down the side of Navi. The Magnus down the side of Vikings are going to try and take this one. Aramis rolling forwards, looking for a target as Shad's doing the same thing. He's got his Chronosphere available in 13 seconds if they can drag this one out a lot. They're looking across. General, they see him. They want this Bat Rider, but he is going cross-country right now, and that is not a route they can follow on, and it does look like this is going to be the end for Viking. They couldn't find their target, so they are just going to have to go back, but still not bad. I mean, Boom dying again is definitely very sad for him, but 2 heroes dead on the side of Navi is probably about as best as they could have hoped for there for Viking.
Oh, most definitely. I think Navi just made a very overconfident play in front of Vikings tower and just got punished a little bit there, because now even though the Magnus is dead, that was his extra death timer, so he's going to be happy that Navi are not going to be pushing into Viking at the moment while he's dead, because they could have just pretty much ended the game if that was like a clean fight for Navi.
Goodness gracious, Vitun's got a double damage in the bottom now as well. So yeah, if they take a fight in the next 2 minutes, then the same mistakes certainly won't be happening from Navi. So I'll be able to bring down those heroes much faster.
They might want Roshan first, I think. They realize like they can die, right? There's Chrono, there's RP still. You know, you don't want to be too cocky about this. If there are heroes who are just split pushing on their own, then those are looking... Okay, Toby.
Here we go. Jumping on top of Toby, jumping on top of Aramis. Aramis going to throw down the Yules to try and save Toby, but it's not going to be enough. The Viper will fall. Brought down again as Vichun chops him up good and proper.
Yeah. This might be a time to go high ground. That's 90 seconds of Viper's dead. They know he bought out. So it's going to be 4 versus 5 for a minute and a half, and they have a DD. Now it's go time.
Yeah, those lanes coming in right now. Vichun, not afraid. There's that DD. And they will see that on Viking, and they will cry salty, salty tears.
Oracle has a Link Dagger too, so it doesn't matter where Vitun might get dragged to. They do at least manage to use the Anti-Mage, remove that DD.
Yeah, get rid of the DD, nice little skewer back, but Always Want to Fly, catches him out with a false promise, beautifully done. The Chronosphere gonna get dropped onto the Oracle, but then comes a call from General, they're trying to keep him alive, won't be able to do so. Always Want to Fly will still go down, but down goes the Void anyway. They've got so much damage, the lasso comes down onto the Magnus, he's taken out as well. The Void coming back into this one with the Supernova comes crashing down. Solarin's gonna be the next one to drop, and they move in for more. Viking, they want to try and make some kind of retribution, the final stand, but as a call comes out from General, he will be left behind by the side of Navi, but Aramis going to try and look for more as he rolls forwards onto Roger. Yules comes down, Shad going to follow up as well, but Iceberg's with them. Atos is, Lens gets going to pop here as they jump forwards, they take down Aramis. Vichun trying to find into Shad. Shad is not winning this one. Vichun, he's just too strong. Another falls, and that will be the end. GG is called. Viking, they just could not seem to get their feet wet in game number 1 here. Navi dominant from the start. They don't drop the ball. They don't make those mistakes we were perhaps thinking it was possible for them to make, but instead they keep consistent. Really, really nice game from Navi as they take game number 1 from Viking. You know, one of the group leaders of this tournament. Very impressive stuff from Navi.
Yeah, that was just the Iceberg show. Like, he played this game so perfectly. Mid lane, he was against a Magnus who was pretty much just, it was just a wash, but then those rotations he made to the side lanes is what helped them pretty much win this game. Like, the Anti-Mage had pretty good farm. The Viper died a couple of times. Axe and Phoenix, they did their job against his Faceless Void, completely shut him down. Vikings, they just couldn't really group up at any point because they were constantly behind in net worth. And Anti-Mage, you know, he just did his job. Just farm, get your items, and then play the split push game. As soon as you catch one of these guys off guard, you can just get that 5 versus 4 and keep dominating the map. That's what happened top lane, right? I think Earth Spirit died once top, and then the Viper died once top, and then that just kind of unraveled Vikings lineup and made it so hard for them to come back.
Yeah, the lanes were dominant, and then we actually saw Na'Vi kind of taking their foot off the gas a little bit, which was nice to see. They played it patiently. They realized that they didn't have to kind of risk themselves getting caught out by these big ultimates. They held back a little bit, and that was ultimately what allowed them to come through in this game. They trusted themselves, and that trust was well placed as Na'Vi were able to take this first game. Fantastic stuff from them. But we've had enough Dota for now. It is time for some adverts, but hopefully we'll have more Dota coming up after the break, along with a lovely, lovely panel. So we shall sit patiently and wait for that. We'll see you after those ads. Bye-bye.
EGB, your esports betting world. The only place to find the widest choice of popular games and matches to win real money. Choose your bet on a single event or express of several matches with dizzy odds. Serving the market for 7 years with over 800,000 users. Join now to get your bonus for the first deposit up to $600. EGB, you know for sure who's gonna win.
ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Epic League, where we have wrapped up a pretty good game one. But I think Lizard, you went to this anti-mage's like grade school. You saw him, and you made eye contact. And you're like, you can be whatever you want to be when you grow up. And everyone else is like, this is who really can trust this strange man standing on the stage? But that kid believed in Lizard. He won.
How do you want to call it? Did I mind?
That's exactly
dare
it.
at him?
You accepted him.
The powers are too strong. Don't do that again, please.
Thank you, T-Gab. Thank you.
No,
But
that's
I don't
fine.
think it's actually my belief in AM that actually carried them. Iceberg and X, they did so much in that game that it was an easy game for the anti-mage to carry, eventually, right? However, all these positive things aside, let's talk about negative stuff. Why the hell are they not buffing up that Void? Why are you picking it if you're just going to focus on Magnus the whole time? I get it. He's your playmaker. He needs to have farm to playmake, but you don't need that when you have a Void. Like, literally, all you have to do is play around chrono timings and buff him up to farm when they're off and not fight. But, as T-Governor is most likely going to tell us, Navi did not allow them to do that. Right, T-Gov?
Again, you're so psychic, and exactly that. They just didn't. And I think when I was analyzing the draft, I pretty much was favoring Viking, and I'd happily say right now that I was wrong with my analysis of that draft. I think Navi, there was so much pressure on this Bat Rider to play well, right? And we mentioned that briefly. Like, this Bat, he has to pop off for this game to go in Navi's favor, and he did that. Like Liz also mentioned, his active plays, his kind of unlocking the game, it gave them enough room that suddenly this Axe, when he got his Blink Dagger, he also went for a Treads Urn build, a little bit more fight orientated. They were able to apply this pressure. And what, sorry?
Venom as well on that.
There we go. Every little helps. That's a good slogan if you're from England.
300 gold, man. If you're investing for that Turbo Venom right now, you goddamn make sure that it's worth your bucks, because
That's true.
it's not cheap. But it works so well on X, right? Like,
but I'll give it to Navi. They had a draft that they had to be able to execute, right? And this Turbo Venom, I'm ignoring it because we're not saying it again, Lizard. No. But no, they had to execute, right? And they really did do it.
They like we were actually talking during the game, T-Gab and I, and Fly to Moon or current Navi, they've been a stack for a really long time in one iteration or another. The only newcomer here right now that didn't play with them before is VTune. Everyone else has played together for like 2-3 years already in a stack that's either Fly to Moon or Windstrike, now Navi. I haven't seen this from them before. Like, they in my eyes were usually a figured out team that had a very simple, and it doesn't have to mean that it's bad. If you execute it properly, you can win with, but usually their strategies were simple. That's what they did in the first game of Viking versus Navi, for me, is mind-blowing. The way they played, reminiscent of Nigma, actually, for me, the most, and the way they play around Wii, and it was just a pleasure to watch, really.
How good are they at playing around IO, as they are getting their hands on it? And honestly, I don't think they've played it at all this tournament. If they did, then it must have been like maybe yesterday or something. But
yeah, it was.
Oh, okay. Did they win?
They played one game. It was IO Sven against Mud Golems, and they won. It was as I glance over at the game. I'm not doing that from memory.
It's a small sample size though, but they get it. And yeah, it looks like Viking are content giving it away as they pick up a Lina and a Slardar ban out, the Chen, Doom, Witch Doctor, Phoenix, Viper, and now an Undying. Whereas Navi, they get the IO Sven, ban out the Faceless Void, so a bit of a respect ban, and then VS, Lifestealer, PA, and Enchantress.
Yeah, the key thing for me in the draft so far is Viking, they do have that annoying laning phase. They have the answers to what an IO Sven will be doing in the lane, be it the Slardar plus Lina chip, be it maybe an Undying plus Slardar. Like, they have the laning setups to deal with Navi. I think my only fear is they don't have that strong, I guess, lockdown that when Sven does eventually get to his Ags timing later on after maybe 2-3 items, and suddenly they do have a couple issues.
They don't have it immediately, but they could get something, right? That covers
for sure.
Right now, I would guess this is Slardar. I would put my money on Slardar Lina to be the lane that plays in Sven. like when I see Slardar and Lina first picked, like this is the perfect lane for me. This is really what you want. But this Jakiro is interesting now. It
nice.
switches things. Most likely what this means is that Sven and Jakiro will be on the safe lane, and that the Wisp has a different pairing on the off lane. So we're not going to see Wisp Sven on lane. And it's also something that I like. Wisp Sven, it's good later on, but in the laning stage, Wisp doesn't bring that much to a Sven. And if you really want to utilize a Wisp, you need something like a Slardar on offlane, which they won't get because it's picked by Viking. But yeah, we'll see what they opt to go for here. There are different offlaners that are still available.
Yeah, I think the key thing is with IO, you have the flex between the 5 and the 4. And I really like when teams identify that as a 5, you play better into like chip damage. That's like spells, and you can really trade like HP for mana. When you're against a Slardar, it's that constant aggression, and you're never really punishing the Slardar for going aggressive, right? It's built into him. So I like the fact that Na'Vi, they put this IO to enable the offlane, can have an aggressive dual lane now, and then you have this hero to enable that Sven. You go for Beastmaster.
Is the BKB piercing stun, some push that they need together with Jakiro. It looks pretty solid. Is it the strongest combo with Wisp? No, it's not, but they'll make it work. It's also
boar, dude. The boar. The overcharge.
Here's the bar.
Damn, overcharged.
I got you.
Okay, so one thing that I see problematic here for Na'Vi is they have this Wisp and Beastmaster. Actually, they have 4 strength heroes at the moment, but Wisp and it's Shakiro's strength. He is, right? Or he's intelligent. He's int, right? Okay, he's very PP.
Phoenix, Snap, and IO.
Phoenix.
I wish Jakiro was strength. It'd make my life a lot easier playing support.
Right? Like,
no, he's in.
He's in. But regardless, you still have Wisp and Beastmaster on the offlane versus the Undying, which with the boars, it does make your life a little bit easier, but still you're playing Wisp, Strength, Beastmaster Strength into Undying, with Decay, with Soul Rip. It can get hairy.
You kill the boar with Soul Rip easily? Or no?
I actually
Is
haven't
it worth
tried.
it? Realistically, is it worth it though? Like level 1 you won't. Maybe level 2, 3 you can, but that hill has probably more value just coming into the lane, especially with a Spectre lane where it's just kind of like survive dagger spam. There might be moments where the dagger connects, it's low, and then you might soul rip it just to kill it anyways, but from 100 to 0.
This Undying Spectre lane as being the more dominant one as opposed to the IO Beastmaster.
I mean more in the regards of they have that ability to push out the wave and exist. They're not going to be like winning it and dominating it. They're just like, oh, well, you can't really kill us. The key thing is if Beastmaster, well, sorry, not if, when he eventually gets his Necro book, how does an Undying Spectre realistically stop that push? It doesn't really happen unless this mid hero really comes in and rotates and has that pressure.
I completely agree. Your Spectre is... You don't use the Soul Rip in this lane to kill off the boars or whatnot. You just use every bit of mana that you have to heal up the Spectre and just keep that lane in status quo until you have to bail it as Spectre with that first Blade Mail or whatever. So I think they'll be fine, but eventually they'll have to probably bail unless Na'Vi makes some crucial mistakes with Wisp and Beast, which is it's looking rough to do, really.
The last time they're in this position on RV, they picked a puck, and it was like the idea of just full aggression. And I really like the idea of just having, obviously, you see the bands with Viking, the Storm, the DP, these sort of simplified Navi's lineup, but any kind of puck, not co-op, but just a hero that just wants to be really in your face and just set the tempo of the game, I think will be amazing for Na'Vi.
I was actually doing this series yesterday when they played Wisp and Sven and Puck, and it looked pretty solid. The lane for Puck was also extremely good, so keep that in mind. They
There
go for
it is.
Puck yesterday.
Nice.
When they picked Puck,
Pickle Peppers, Piper picked.
Mud Golems counter-picked themselves with the Void Spirit mid. So
Will Viking counterpick themselves? Find out in the next 30 seconds.
Viking pick a Storm, right? They won't because it's banned. Will they
No,
pick
dude.
something that actually doesn't work versus
A
Puck?
mobility hero. I think that's the easiest way to say it. A mobility hero that will just get countered.
Void Spirit is so bad, man. Like, you literally can't do anything when you're coiled. It's such a... Yeah, it was an interesting draft yesterday. Viking GG, right now, when you look at this draft, you have a lot of mobility coming from Slardar and Spectre. They can join fights early on for Spectre with that Blade Mail, but you still need that playmaker to match the speed of Puck.
I think
Most
the difficulty though that you're mentioning is the heroes that are countered by Puck are actually.
Where's the spit take? You're about to drink, so you need to be like.
all right. What? All right. Look.
All right. Can I
yesterday-
quickly go on, Lizard? Go on.
Go on, please. Just
I'll say
go.
the quick point here is the heroes that aren't countered by Puck are naturally greedier. You think about like the TA, the Druid, like these type of heroes, right? They can't really be picked in this type of lineup. Even a DK, they can't be picked when you have a Spectre, especially against what Na'Vi have. So they have to look less out the lane and the game and go more for active. That's why I think they're still going for the Void Spirit. Is it good? No, it's hard countered. But that's the reasoning. They can't outgreed, you know?
I disagree. Like, don't you need actual objective taking on Viking? Like, playmaker is solid, but something like DK or DP for me would fit their lineup way better.
DP was banned to be. That's the thing.
Yeah,
I think DK was DK technically was 100%, in my opinion, the best pick for Viking. In theory, it ticks the box that you mentioned, but like I can see
be
why.
wrong. Channel
Yeah,
yesterday could be wrong. Like, maybe we are missing something, and if Viking do take the series, we'll ask them about this matchup, and maybe we aren't really seeing it.
Yeah, that's true.
Properly, right? Maybe there's something with Void Spirit that we're missing.
I do agree that the leash is like brutal for a Void Spirit, but shouldn't Yule's into Aether setup be pretty good against a Puck also? And then like silence that?
I think the key thing is the disparity in rotation, right? It's all about who can make the first moves on the map. Maybe Void Spirit sets the tempo of the game, unlocks the Slardar to make moves. Then again, Na'Vi, it's just simpler, right? You have the Necro book on Beastmaster, Puck just connects, you get that free tower, you play from there. And sure, Puck in the big team fights will completely remove the Void Spirit. But again, if Void Spirit gets that jump, then maybe it's a different story. So
my views are a little bit skewed because I have seen the Void Spirit fail versus Puck so many times that I don't believe in it any longer. But
right. We're going from motivational lizard to demotivational lizard, but that's okay.
No.
What happens in game 3, Tsunami?
You have failed 10 times. 11th time you shall not.
Perfect.
They can do it.
Well, you can always do egb.com. You can click the banner below the stream if you think that you know which way this game is going. But I'm going to pass it over to our casters, Nomad and 1437.
Happy birthday, T, Governor.
Happy birthday!
That was my intro. All right, let's get into it. Woo! Game number 2. Let's go, Theban. What do you think about this Void versus Puck shenanigans that's going on here? I mean, casters seem to say it's pretty Puck favored. Are you in agreement there?
Yeah, I think we casted a game where the Puck just absolutely annihilated the Void Spirit. Every time it got coiled, there was just like an Io and Sven on top of that Void, and just boom, dead. And that's what we're gonna see this game. The Puck or the Beastmaster, a Roar or a Coil comes out. The Io is gonna relocate on top of that hero, and just that hero's gonna get sliced up by the Sven. That's pretty much it. So this game, we got two very different playstyles. One, Vikings, they're gonna want to kill. They're just looking for anything on the map that they can just annihilate. That being said, Void plus Slardar do pair well together. Corrosive Haze, amplifying damage. Void Spirit likes to right-click quite a bit. And then on the side of Na'Vi, they're just looking to farm up, get their levels, play off their ultimates, and just mow down your towers. That's what they're looking at in this draft. So let's see who's going to come out ahead from these two strategies.
And from what we've seen, teams need to have a plan to try and deal with this Sven, because if he goes unchecked, he can just, destroy a game. So what do you think Vikings' plan is to deal with this Sven?
Oh, that's the Lina and the Slaughter. These are the two heroes that they picked up to be able to deal with this dude. Let's see how this laning goes. I don't think Jakiro is that amazing of a laner. It's very hard to try to hit two heroes with a dual breath, and Jakiro's attack range is very low too. So Aramis, I think, is going to have a great time bullying the Jakiro out. They're going to look to just try to dominate this Sven's lane.
Yeah, due to Na'Vi, what Na'Vi dealt to them in game number 1. Seems like a good plan from Viking. We'll see if it works, and we'll see how good this Slardar is into the Sven. There's a lot of spells being thrown into each other to start this lane off. These guys are just brawling straight off the map. Love to see it. Meanwhile, over at mid, Boom's actually taking quite a lot of damage from the puck straight away here as well, as he's getting his health whittled down. Doesn't have a salve just yet. Doesn't even have one coming out to him, so feeling like he's easily going to be able to just kind of out-regen the puck here as he actually gets the Remnant off to deal a bit of damage to Iceberg. So, yeah, again, just every lane, they're kind of just trading and brawling and fighting, and no difference in the bottom lane as General's getting chased down by Shad and Celery here. Do they have enough damage to finish him off? Doesn't look like it, especially with the two balls just whittling away at Shad here, slowing him down and stopping them really doing much to General, but Celery just kind of bossing it in this bottom lane so far on the Undying.
Yep, Undying
There's
Spectre.
Jakiro. Oh, under the tower, pops a Fairy Fire. It's going to be enough.
more.
Aramis trying to find
Salve.
himself, comes out from Always Want to Fly. Aramis still chasing. LSA is going to catch, and
Got
this
him.
should be the Jakiro, probably dead. Still duking around those trees, though. Making Aramis work for it, really giving him a bit of cardio. And finally, Aramis says, God damn, get rid of these trees. Just take them down, LSA them out. And that is going to be the Jakiro going down for your first blood for Aramis.
Yeah, and if the Jakiro is on the side fighting up into Alina like that, that means Slaughter is getting a 1v1 against the Sven, and that's a favorable matchup for the Slaughter. So V-Tune not having a good time whatsoever. Both matchups, the 5 and the 4, and then the 3 and the 1 is just favorable for Vikings. So this lane is looking real lost for them until there's a rotation that comes up, maybe from the puck or the IO.
Yeah, that's the rotation we're kind of expecting to see. But again, IO rotations not exactly the most game-changing of rotations usually, but maybe this game they can have some kind of large impact on the map. We kind of need it, right?
Definitely. And this bottom lane, I think, for Vikings is a lot better too. They got this Undying versus 2 Strength heroes, and the healing onto the Spectre is just going to make it so hard to actually shut the Spectre down. So Shad definitely going to have a great game, at least, in comparison to last game.
Celery in a bit dry. He's fine. They're just kind of trading at this point. So, do you think Shad's going to be forced into the jungle at some point in this bottom lane?
Yeah, he might get forced if there's a lot of pressure from the puck coming to this bottom lane. Other than that, I think he's just going to stay here and make sure that Beastmaster just can't take his tower. That's the most important thing when you play against Beastmaster.